correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome to Me and Steve Talk RPG, the podcast where me and my friend Steve try and help you get the most out of your role-playing game experience.
Welcome back to Me and Steve Talk RPGs. I'm here with my friend Steve.
Hello.
And today, we're going to do another mini-sode. As you're hearing this, it is between Christmas and New Year's, so sort of starting with last year as is tradition. You know, with it being between the holidays, we understand you're busy, we're busy. So we'll give you a nice, short, sweet, to the point one this week.
Kind of. I think last year we called it a holiday update.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like Steve said, everyone's busy. So just a kind of a, hey, we're still here. We didn't forget about you, but we're taking some time too type deal. Kind of a where we've been, where we're headed. Not that we ever know where we're headed, but, you know.
Yeah. Let's do a quick shout out to a podcast on the D20 network.
Oh, who do we got this week?
Story Told?
Story Told? Oh, yeah. Logan and Griffin.
Yep.
It's a RPG variety podcast, a little bit like us, but very distinct in other ways. They tend to focus a lot more on, World of Darkness and more narrative story-focused games as opposed to, I mean, like, we love our Genesis, which is narrative, but it's sort of an action narrative where I think a lot of their stuff is more, I don't know. I know what I mean, but I can't say it. I have been having that problem a lot lately.
Yeah. I've been having that issue. No, they focus more on less action driven games, more narrative driven games. Yeah, they're like you said, they're a variety show kind of like us.
They actually just wrapped up their Exalted Actual Play, which was run by Chaz, who we've had on.
Yeah.
And I believe, if I remember the polls correctly, I think they're doing maybe Promethean is their next actual play. I know it was a World of Darkness title and one of the less common ones. I just don't
Promethean's
remember.
cool.
I think that may be the one they're doing next, but don't quote me on that. But you can look that up and look up, their show, their feed, whatever, in the show notes, because we'll put the link down there.
Yeah, as always, links in the show notes. Oh man, I am super out of it today.
Yeah, I think that's just it's everything, weather, holidays. Well, it's the shortest day of the year today.
Oh, is it really? I didn't
Yes, it
even
is.
notice.
Was the solstice, winter
Yeah,
solstice?
winter solstice. It's the shortest day of the year, which means that I have awoken in the dark and will be going to bed in the dark and will have seen all of the daylight.
That's typical for me in the winter months anyway.
Yeah. It's typical for you. It's not typical for me. I'm not that person.
I only do it by force of employment, not so much force of will or choice.
Usually I'm the other way around. I usually get up when it's dark out and go to bed when it's starting to be light.
Well, okay, you do it on the opposite side of sort of the opposite side of the clock. I worked evening shift for a lot of years, and I like that body rhythm, but I can't do that anymore. So
yeah,
I don't.
Those overnights get to you, man.
I never. Well, I wouldn't say never. I've worked a little bit of overnight here and there, but never as my main shift.
My youngest cousin is working, and she works exclusively overnights. And I told her, like, you'll do it for a while, and you'll be fine with it, and then eventually, it's just going to catch up with you. And I talked to her the other day. She was off work. She's like, "Man, I'm getting really sick of working overnights." I'm like, "Yeah, it's starting to catch up with you." Like, you just reach this point where you're just like, not that you hate your job or anything. It's just like, I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't know if I get off work and the sun's starting to come up. I go to work and the sun's already down. Like,
yeah, well, no, I take that back. I did a couple of winters. I worked third shift making snow, but that was an entirely different line of work. So
real hard work there.
well, most nights it wasn't too bad, other than, well, if it wasn't below 25, 28 degrees Fahrenheit, we didn't go to work.
Yeah.
And the night that I froze up a 4-inch water line with 100 gallons a minute running through it was really damn cold.
Yeah. The hardest part was shaping all those damn icicles. Or all the damn snowflakes. You gotta shape each one by hand.
Oh,
Oh,
I know.
no, the wonders of living in an area near near ski resorts. You get
Mhm.
to tell people, "I make snow for a living," because I had a buddy that did that for a while.
You get the weirdest looks when you tell people that too.
I
You just
know
look like
it takes a minute for like, if it's somebody not from the area, they definitely have to think about that for it to process, and if it's somebody from the area, they're just like, yeah, okay." Well, they used to people always said about, ice trucks. "Oh, they ran the ice truck past my house." It's like, "Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Salt trucks." It's like,
Yeah.
that's not what they do, but okay. They don't make ice, they take care of the ice most of the time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
There's our tangent for
Eh.
the past couple minutes.
Finish your drink.
Yes, we have been made aware, and perhaps there will be some sort of semi-official release of this, but there's apparently been a drinking game based on our podcast now, or at least it's been suggested.
It's been suggested, I started working on it, so,
Yes.
um,
Yes, well, we do
it's
encourage people to drink
drink
responsibly, but,
responsibly, yeah.
you know, and if you're driving and listening to the podcast,
Don't
you
drink.
can't
Don't
play with
drink
an
at all.
alcoholic beverage.
Do not drink at all if you are driving.
Now,
Um,
to our game dev friends, maybe you should play this game with coffee while you're trying to write. I don't know, but
I
anyway.
don't know, But with that being said, sort of last year we did a state of the podcast where we were, where we thought we were heading, and I think we might as well do that now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the year that was 2021.
Jeez. Um,
Well, not in a whole. We don't need to talk about, all that, but I think we go ahead and address the podcast and where we started and what happened and where we're heading.
well, jeez.
We started kind of humbly.
Well, yeah. I know early in the year we did our Cyberpunk Red review,
Mhm.
which we've talked about possibly doing another game review or two. It's just that that means that both of us have to read the same game, and that doesn't seem to happen very often, even though we like a lot of the same stuff.
Well, there might be one. You just got a physical copy of something, and I have a digital copy of it, so might
Yeah.
try and get that hammered out because that's a game we've both been excited for, even
Yeah.
though it's been out for a little while and just
Yeah, a
you
couple
prefer.
months now, I think. Well,
Yeah,
depending on the version.
just like Cyberpunk Red.
Yeah.
um, Plus, you just got Haunted West as well, which should be coming to you shortly, and
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited
that's
to give that a look. That's a tome, but I'm really excited with just the the idea of it and learning some of the actual history of the West more than kind of the stereotypical history, if you will.
yeah, yeah.
Plus being able to go weird directions with it. So
But we started the year. You're right. We started the year with Cyberpunk Red, and
then we learned to play Genesis,
we learned to play Genesis, and
which was a hole we both fell into.
mhm.
It's a wonderful game though. It really is.
And then we learned how to play Mutants and Masterminds, and we talked to a bunch
Yes.
of people about superheroes, and
Yeah, had a lot of amazing guests over the course of the year.
oh man, I I was gonna get into it, but these past couple months, I know we talked a little bit about it, like not last episode, I think the episode before that, but these past couple months have been absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where, we started a when we were talking about starting it, we're like, "Well, maybe, we can get some guests on," and there was, like, a couple of names that, well, maybe this person, maybe that person, and then we got pretty much all those people and more, and it's so neat, and the other thing, and I still remember the very first time we talked with Hooli, and he was telling us about how, I mean, game designers are normal people, and
Yeah, we
yes.
both collectively went, nah. Like, I believe you, but nah.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I mean, we took well, heavens, I mean, we talked with Russ Morrissey, Ken Hite. Ken was just so much fun to talk to, you know? And it
Oh,
was one of those where you're like, I never thought that I'd get to have a conversation with this person.
yeah, no, dude, I was so I know okay. I need to issue an apology. I'm bad at these interviews because, and I'll just be upfront with our audience, I get starstruck, man. It could be anybody from Russ Morrissey to Ken Hite to like John and Seth. I was starstruck that entire month of just astounded by who we were talking to. That when we first had Hooli on the podcast, I added him on Facebook because he's like, oh yeah, yeah. And I think he added me or something. And I said to you at one point, I'm like, oh man, I'd really like to talk to Hooli. And you're like, just message him. Like, oh, I can't do that. I can't bother him. He's a busy dude. That's how I get during the interviews. I get to this point where A, you're asking all the questions that I already had planned out. And B, I'm hearing these guests talk and I'm going, oh, I don't want to interrupt this guy because this guy's important. Or, you know, and then you go back and it's not just the big guests we had on, it's everybody. You talked to the people from Curse Captains of Cthulhu, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we talked to from Court Games about L5R.
L5R, yeah.
And we talked to Miguel launching, Cloud Seas, and we talked to, you talked to Josh Heath talking about Werewolf, and
Mhm.
just if you went through this year and looked at all the guests we had on,
Yeah.
everybody that we had on was somebody, to us that was important to have on, and just, everybody we had on has been super nice and super cool, and I want to thank all of our guests, like
Yes.
period.
Yes,
Any of our
very much.
guests that still listen to the podcast, why? But I want to thank you because you guys have
Yeah.
been awesome.
Ryan that came on to do Safety Tools, that was a really good show. Was
Yeah,
really
Safety
glad to have
Tools
his
was
insights.
fantastic. Chaz,
Yeah.
um, we've had a ton of people, but everybody we've had on, yeah, thank you so much. I mean,
Mhm.
going back to Mutants and Masterminds and talking to Alex and talking to and getting to play with I'm
Shane.
blanking on names. Shane's, yeah. Shane from Shane's Plays. And like we talk about our big guests, but and those are big names too. Like,
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's not like, they may not be as well known through the whole industry, but they're still just really cool people that do stuff in this space.
yeah, they're good people, they're cool people, and to sit down and go back and actually think about all the episodes that we've done. And then we passed our 1 year mark, and we passed, we've broken records. We're at 7,500 downloads right now, like
Mhm.
total. Um we broke up we went from, just to talk numbers, because when else do we talk numbers, but we went from seeing maybe 30, 40 downloads a week to 140 downloads a week.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, we've grown a lot.
we've grown a ton, and our audience out there that listen to us weekly, I have friends now that are listening to us that I didn't even know listened to us. My buddy, we were just talking about him the other day. He shocked me. He's like, oh man, I listen to your podcast every week. I'm like, what? Like, when did you start doing this? He's like, I don't know, I realized that you didn't quit. I'm like, yeah, we're not stopping anytime soon, I can tell you that much. Come hell
Yeah.
or high water, we're gonna keep this going.
We paid for hosting again, damn it.
Yeah, I bought this mic and it may sound like crap, I don't care. Come hell or high water, we're gonna keep this going.
Well, yeah, I think, going forward, I think we want to, like, and we're not ones to plan too far in advance. I mean, our
Yeah.
Halloween, October, whatever you want to call that we did kind of think, hey, we want to do some theme around this, and so we did think that out ahead a little bit. And I mean, we've got some ideas for various people we want to talk to. Some of them, indie creators with cool projects, some of them names who have worked on things in the past.
And we'll probably have Hooli on in between there, at least a couple more times.
Yes, we'll have Hooli on because he's cool. We wanna get GM Chris back on again too. We've been trying
Yeah.
to
Hey,
coordinate with him
Chris,
for a while.
you're a hard man to get a hold of. I'm calling you out. We want you back on the podcast. That's like Sugi. Hey, Sugi, I want you back on my podcast.
Yeah, speaking of which, one of my goals for this coming year is to actually try and paint some
Paint some
minis.
minis. Well, see, when you do that, let me know. And I'm not saying that I'm going to start doing it, but I made a couple goofy TikToks under our banner. I made a couple that were actually informative to the RPG community. Or
And
at
you
least
still
posing
haven't found your
questions.
chickens.
I still haven't found my chickens. I lost them a long time ago. Um, but then, I'm working on things, and we got things in the pipe, and we tried to get. I'm sorry, guys. We tried to get an actual play off the ground, but for the
To
life of me, it just isn't working.
two
It's
or
not.
three of them, actually.
Well, yeah, it's not that we don't want to. It's that it's a lot of logistics behind the scenes, and the fact of the matter is that it's hard sometimes when you don't know what's going to happen week to week to even plan out a game like that.
Well, let's be honest. It's sometimes hard to get your group together to play, be it online or in person.
Well,
And when you're going to record, that just adds another layer onto that.
yeah, and that scares some people off, and it adds this extra layer of responsibility that makes it difficult.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think it's a idea we're abandoning, but
Oh, no, we're not abandoning it by any stretch, but it is something that we're gonna do it when the time is right, when we have the right group of people, and when we have a solid idea. And I
mhm.
think our original plan was to maybe do a longer form campaign. I think that's changed. I'd like to do maybe short. I've started calling them 2, 3 shots because I don't think one shot's the right term. I look at a one shot and go, "That's a game that you can play in 5 to 6 hours."
At most, yeah.
Yeah, 2, 3 shots are I wouldn't call them mini campaigns because to me a mini campaign is like 4 or 5.
Yeah, if not a little longer.
Yeah,
Somewhere in that range, 2 or 3 sessions probably, that gives us a decent amount of broadcast, gives you a little time for some character development, but, doesn't and especially for us, it would be likely broadcasting every other week, so that doesn't make it extremely long for everyone to listen to.
right. It's daunting when you're listening to actual plays and it's like, "Where do I start?" Well, you could start at episode 1, or you can start at episode 81, or you could start at episode 105. Ooh.
Well,
You
I've
know what I
found
mean?
myself lately, I just binge APs.
Oh, yeah. Well, lately I haven't been listening to any APs. I dropped the only one I was actually listening to, so I need to start some up. And hey, if you got a cool AP and you want to talk about an idea, reach out. I want to
Yeah,
hear about your actual play. I want to
yeah.
hear about your podcast that you're doing.
Mhm,
And like I said, willing to talk to anybody. Our Discord has grown from just us using it like a personal Discord to we have regulars in our Discord that I recognize the names every time I see them pop up.
mhm,
You know, it I we talk to those people all the time,
mhm.
like Brett posts every week in our Discord.
Usually they've been doing a lot of fiction updates.
Yeah, but it's cool.
Yeah. Shane sometimes posts. Yeah, we have a lot of our guests that still hang around the Discord to various extents. We've got just a bunch of cool people.
Yeah.
And for those of you who go, "Oh, no one lives where I do." Well, we've actually got quite a few people from, Australia, New Zealand lately, so there's bound to be someone around or someone awake, even if it's not, normal hours where they are or
Yeah,
you
come
are, whatever.
if you got something to say or you want to throw an idea out there, throw it in our Discord.
Mhm.
I've seen the most innocuous things turn into full on game ideas.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's the whole point, right? Like, I think that's the point of the show really is it's not that we wanna tell you how to play your games. What I think our goal is in the bigger sense is to get you thinking about different ways to play your games that might make it more fun for you.
Not only that, it's might make it more fun for you, give you some useful tips and tricks no matter what system you're playing. Give you an idea if you're not used to other systems, what's out there, what you can do with them. And just our goal is to be welcoming to everyone in this community,
Mhm.
period. And we're open and welcome to anyone who wants to come hang out. If you're into tabletop RPGs, please come by, hang out, talk to anybody. We're all good people. Well, we try to be.
Mhm.
and we just want to. One of the things, and I said this last year and I'll say it again this year, when I say at the end of the episode to be kind to one another, that comes out of, I hang out on Reddit, I hang out on TikTok, I hang out on YouTube, and I hate seeing the gatekeeping and animosity in the industry or in the community that goes on. And why can't we just be kind to one another? Just because I don't like D&D doesn't mean that I'm going to sit there and tell you that you're wrong for playing it. You like it? That's cool, man. Hey, that's great. Tell me why you like D&D.
Yeah.
Like, just because I'm not a fan of how Shadowrun plays doesn't mean I'm not interested to hear about why you like Shadowrun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big thing for me, is that we're not out here trying to tell anybody how to play the game, or that, we sometimes we're hyperbolic and say things like, oh, well, you're playing it wrong, but you're not. If you're enjoying it, you're having a good time, and the other players at the table are having a good time, you are not playing that game wrong.
Right. Yeah. If you're not hurting anybody and everyone's having fun.
Yeah. That's a big thing, is that, we can sit here and talk about, oh, well, we do this thing this way or that thing that way. But if you're having fun and everybody at the table is having fun and it's safe, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the year coming.
Yeah. Like I said, more guests of assorted variety. Working on a few things. Like I said, some independent designers. Probably talk to some more well known names in the industry as well. We've got a couple of people who have, what do you want to say, worked on kind of things that at this point are now kind of part of the history of the industry too, that we're working on setting some things up with.
Bringing on some industry veterans, bringing on people that have been around the block a time or two, and
Probably have some people that we've talked to in the past come back on again, in addition to
yeah.
just Hooley. But Hooley is kind of become the unofficial third Steve, I think.
Yeah, Hooley is to joke that he's welcome here anytime is an understatement. If Hooley were to message me now and be like, "Are you recording a podcast?" I would add him to this call.
Okay, like literally for those that didn't catch it, like in the post show or whatever, literally we were sitting down to record. I looked at one of my messaging service and saw that Hooley was online and active, and I'm like, "Hey, Steve, want to talk to Hooley?"
Yeah, the literal conversation was, "Hey, if we wait 45 minutes, we can bring Hooley on the podcast." Oh yeah, I'll wait.
Yep. So, I mean, that is sometimes that is the extent of our organization. Sometimes it's more than that.
Hey,
Uh,
if you don't know by this point what this show is, which if this is your first episode, please, I don't mean to tell you what you're wrong, but please don't listen to this episode. Go and grab another episode and listen to that. This is not the first episode to start with. You can start anywhere in our show, but not here. Just
we might have wanted to say that at the beginning.
well, we can. The magic of editing. You can put that whole bit. I don't care. But anyway, but what I'm saying though is that if you haven't figured it out by now, we are by the seat of our pants, always just whatever comes, whatever comes to mind comes out of our mouth. If that means that we're going to go on a rabbit hole talking about, I don't know, panhead motorcycles for 20 minutes while we're talking about uh, motorcycle RPG, well, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it just happens, and that's who we are. And I don't want it to seem like, I don't want anybody to listen to this podcast and think, oh, well, they're putting on a show. No, every bit of this podcast is authentic.
Yeah. I mean, we are disjointed and rambly. Actually, we try to stay focused for the show, which is
Yeah.
kind of scary.
Well, you've said it. You've said to other guests, like, no, this is us focused, and they're always appalled.
But
But
pretty much to a person, every person we've talked to after we're done, we're like, I had so much fun.
yeah, it's
Uh,
it's like playing a game.
yeah.
It's
Well, yeah, that's kind of, when we're talking to guests, it's like, look, it's kind of that, hanging out after a session conversation. That's what we're going for.
that's our pitch, and that's what we try and do to, I don't care if you're Henry Cavill or the Queen of England. If you're coming on my podcast to talk to us, that's what you're getting. we're gonna ask you some really softball questions, but we're gonna really talk to you about games.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And yeah, so going forward, we're looking at bringing on bigger guests. We love having people on the podcast. We love having people that it not just grows our audience, but it helps get our message out to more places. And we're bringing on more guests. We're gonna do our annual RPG review sometime in, I don't know, I can't commit time to you, but maybe January. Um,
yeah, well, once we get it read.
yeah, I need to just start reading it, and we need to figure out. We'll talk about that. Maybe we'll do the inverse of what we did with Cyberpunk Red. I can do system, and you can do lore,
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, in next case, there's 2 books. There's a GM book and a player book.
yeah, but we're gonna do our what we do best, and that is just ramble and surprise you week
Mhm.
to week.
Surprise
uh,
ourselves mostly too.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you the number of times where you've like messaged me with like, well, usually it starts with how does it usually start? I have news, or
"Hey, can you be available this day?"
yeah. Yeah. Or can can you be available this day? Cause yeah, I lined a interview up with somebody. It's like, oh, who? Like, or what's the one you like to do? Guess who I just talked to? I don't like guessing, Steve. Just tell guess who I just talked to? I don't know. But
Uh,
no, and in all seriousness though, we do this for us and we do this for you guys because I love our audience, man. If it
they are
wasn't
cool
for our
people.
audience, yeah, if it wasn't for our audience, we wouldn't have a weekly Genesis game. Like straight up.
Yeah?
Um, if it wasn't for our audience, yeah, you guys are why we keep doing this, because if you would have never showed up, not that I say we would have quit by now, but I don't know that we would be as enthused and as excited to do the podcast.
No, definitely not. We'd probably still be having conversations in the parking lot at 3 in the morning, but
Oh yeah. Yeah, see that's the difference. Rather than recording it, we would just go back to talking in the talking in the parking lot at 3 in the morning when it's 30 degrees outside, and that's Fahrenheit.
but, I don't know. We're also talking, possibly launching a Patreon this in the coming year,
Yeah,
just
I
to help,
just
cover some stuff.
to
Maybe.
talk yeah, to talk brass tacks with that, hosting isn't free. And not that we're looking for $1 million a week, but if you guys want to throw us a couple bucks and can help out with our hosting, that'd be fantastic. You
Yeah.
know, if you don't have it, don't worry. Our podcast is not the main feed, the Discord, that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're not going to lock what already exists away from you guys. But
Right.
we are going to provide new things and you know
Yeah.
certain privileges if you have. And trust me, I'm not in a spot to give anybody any money right now. I'm barely in a spot to have $2 to rub together myself, so I understand what it's like. That's
Oh,
why we're
yeah.
not locking anything away. That's why we're not, I will still be hanging out in general chat. That's not going to change. Like
Yeah, 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 we're not saying, "Oh, we're gonna blah, blah, blah." No, what it'll be is, you'll get some bonus material, fun stuff like that. Nothing, we're not putting the Discord behind a paywall or anything like that. We're
no.
still gonna be engaged. We're still gonna be the same goofballs that you've come to know and loathe. Um,
Yeah, and yeah, like Steve said, we're not trying to lock anything up. We are literally just, for those of you that can or want to, we're going to be providing a little bit extra, a little bit, what we feel is just fair if you want to throw a little bit money our way.
yep.
And that I'll be honest, I want to run this by you, but that should be coming early in the next year.
Yeah, we've talked about it some behind the scenes already, so just need to
Yeah.
finalize a few things and put it out there. So we'll announce that when we do launch it. And but yeah, in the meantime, come by the Discord, hit hit us up on Facebook, Twitter. You can find us. Both of us are in the D20 Radio Facebook group,
Hmm.
D20
And
Radio Discord.
I I will say, if you find me on Facebook and you add me, um, or you message me in some way, I might not get back to you. Facebook is not my primary means of communication really anymore. Just getting away from it because reasons. I just don't use it that much, so I don't
Mhm.
post on Facebook. I'll be honest. I'm bad about posting on social media. I'm bad about posting on our Discord, but I'm always watching. I'm like Santa Claus, except worse. Because you never get anything out of me. You get like terrible hot takes. That's what you get out of me.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can both easily be found. Our Discord's probably the best place. That's linked in the show notes of every episode. It's pinned to the Twitter account, which is @andrpgs.
It is pinned to the top of the Facebook page. If you go to our Facebook page, it is at the top of that Facebook page.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I don't hang out on Reddit much. I don't know about you.
I do, but I get on and off of it. We don't have a subreddit. So if any of our fans want to take it upon themselves to make us a subreddit where you can talk trash, please leave us a review instead of doing that.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's another thing. I mean, if you listen and you like the show, rate it, review it, leave a comment. Between us, we cover probably most of the major places where you can leave reviews.
yeah, we say that we're everywhere podcast. Well, almost everywhere podcast can be found. I think that's pretty accurate. I At the beginning of this podcast, I worked really hard to get us everywhere we could be.
Yeah.
Uh, I still hate you, Pandora. I do.
We're on there. It just doesn't show up on our dashboard for some reason.
I don't know why. Look, a little behind the scenes. Last year, we launched the podcast. Everything was going good. It took me like 6 months before I could get us onto Pandora. I just jumped through so many hoops. So if you can't find us on Pandora, switch to a different app. That's just
Yeah, we are on Spotify, Apple,
Spotify.
Google, pretty
Yeah,
much all the catchers.
yeah.
Um,
Spotify, Apple, Google, Podbean, Podjunkie.
Podcast Addict,
Yeah, that's the one.
Castbox,
Yeah.
you know,
Um, Everything. We're not on YouTube as of yet. We don't have any video. Trust me, you don't want to see my face.
yeah, mine either. I have a face for radio.
We're anywhere that audio podcasts can be found. And yeah, I want to thank you guys for another awesome year.
Very much.
And again, as we say every week, I want to remind everyone to be kind to one another and get out there and play some RPGs.
Yep. Take care, y'all.
Intro and outro music by the band 12 Noon. You can email us at meandsteverpg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at @andrpgs. Find us on Facebook at Me and Steve RPG Podcast, on Discord at Me and Steve RPGs, and as always, all of these links are in the show notes. Thank you, and be kind to one another.
How much for the cigar?
Cigar, $20, dog. You gotta go down the street to the store and buy that.